Okay, and we are back. So sorry about not posting last week. Don't worry, you'll get another one tomorrow. But today we are going to cover something a little bit different. Like I said last time, we were going through the sleep series, but now we're finally done with that, so we can kind of move on to other matters. And this is one I've been wanting to talk about for a while because it was something I learnt relatively recently while I was participating and helping in the federal election campaign in Australia. So just to give context, in the area that I live in, or like the electorate that I live in, is called Greenway, and that's represented by a lovely lady known as Michelle Rowland, who is now the Minister for Communications. She has held the spot for 4 terms already, so this will be number fifth, like the fifth one, the fifth term in total. But this will be the first time she's actually been in government, and I wouldn't say I wouldn't say I was a major part of like a major volunteer or whatever, but I definitely tried to help out wherever I could, wherever I had free time to help out the campaign, and that kind of constituted a whole range of different activities depending on the day and whether it was a weekend or something like that. So on weekdays it could be anything from phone banking, which is like making calls to people in the community, to other things on the weekend, which were either like door knockings or street stalls where you set up a street stall at like a shopping center or a mall, and you kind of engage with the community and try and get them to support Michelle, and also just for them to be aware of like what Michelle is promising or bringing forward in if she was re-elected, which luckily she was, and in fact we won government as well, which was incredible. But having to say, I've participated in 2 election campaigns. One was a local council election, and then another was a federal election. The most recent one was a federal election, and the different scales, both when it comes to resources and just overall, influence that can be kind of brought forward, is a huge difference. But getting to work for, or getting to support and volunteer for someone like Michelle, who is a really well-known commodity in the community, and also she does a lot of work within the community to help improve it from all the different initiatives. So for instance, there was a hospital going to be built in the area, and the state government wasn't going to put an emergency department in it. So what she did, rallying the community through a petition, she actually got the state government to overturn their previous decision and put an ED department in the new soon to be built hospital. So that's just like one aspect of her kind of just looking out for the community and actually supporting it. And that was what made it so good for me as a volunteer, was I knew that the person I was supporting wasn't just someone who, it wasn't just like the party's representative where, okay, yeah, I support the party and this is just the person they've put up, so okay, I support them. But there's that component, but also the fact that Michelle was, and is such a great person and such a great leader within the community, made it so much more easier and enjoyable, and very much a pleasure and an honor to kind of serve and help her kind of be able to get re-elected and serve the community for another 3 years, especially now within government where there's a lot more they have a lot more influence and a lot more power to do things. But the thing I wanted to talk about for us, and what the kind of teaching and learning that I kind of took from that, was over the weeks and months that I got to know Michelle and get to know about what she stands for, and get to see everything that she's done, and also more importantly to hear the number of people that would come up to me and would tell me about something Michelle had done for them, or a problem she'd solved for them, and she they messaged or called the her office, and she managed to figure out a solution, or somehow to figure it out what needed to be done, was amazing. But on the same edge, and this was the kind of interesting part, was you would still have people who it was funny. I was doing a street stall at one of the local or one of the local like malls or shopping centers, and this guy, once he knew that we were like, I was like, oh hey, hi, I'm from Michelle Rowland's campaign team. It's just like, oh, like volunteer community group. We just like to get you to know about like her policies. Here's a little handout, and the guy wasn't that engaged or anything. And it was just until he heard Michelle Rowland's name that he started to like pipe up, and then he was like, I sent her 2 emails. I sent her a question or an email twice, and she didn't respond, and and it was kind of like this, fuck her, she didn't respond to me, so why should I even like bother? And it's just, I find that hilarious because in one respect it's just like, although yes, it's like an elected official's job is to like represent the community, it's like they still have to represent and take care of the needs of 110,000 people. Well, approximately those about the average size of our electorates. It's like you sent 2 emails and that's it. It's like, oh, because of that you're gonna write her off. So I guess the learning and the teaching was, it doesn't matter how much you do for the community or how many people acknowledge or see that and can and respect you for that. There will still always be people out there that no matter how much good you do, it's not good enough, or they don't care, or it's just like at some moment when they thought that you wronged them through whatever, whatever's going on there in the head, it's like for whatever reason they've come up with their own logic as to why you're not good, even though there can be a million counter examples. They'll still hate you for no matter what reason, or like for the little reason they've got in their head. So I think that's something that we all need to be aware of. Like, doing things for the community is a great way to experience meaningfulness in our lives, because doing things for others is always something that a pleasure shared is a pleasure doubled. So it's something we always like kind of enjoy participating in. But you have to remember that not everyone is going to take it, to take your support kindly, or even if you try your best. It's like you're only human in many respects. So it's like you won't be able to help everyone, and if there are those subset of people that you couldn't just get around to, because that was the thing. And maybe in his case, like maybe he sent those 2 emails, but maybe he sent it at a time where like there was really late in the day or at night where like no one's watching the emails, and then the next day in the morning 50 emails came through and his just happened to be down the bottom at 51, and it just kind of got lost in the ether and kind of stuff like that. It's like, who knows what actually happened in that situation with that guy, but it's like you could tell that just because she hadn't responded to an email, he harbored like a real resentment to this woman, that where I've come to know her and I'm like, no, she's a legend, like she's actually awesome. It's like, it's just that his mindset is in a really bad place. So it doesn't matter all the good things that she does and has done. It's like it won't be enough to change that person's mind, and in many respects you just kind of got to let them go, especially when you're talking about the responsibilities of being like a campaign volunteer. It's just like you quickly realize that you won't be able to convert everyone. There'll be certain people that just are not willing or open to essentially engage, so you just kind of got to let that go. But still, I think, bringing it back to what I was talking about before, it's like just in general in our life, I think we need to acknowledge that you can do a lot of good, but there will still always be people who will think not much of you, or might not, or like won't like you, even though, like I said, like 99% of other people can look around in the community and go, well, this person's a legend. But there will always be that person or that subset of people that for whatever reason they just do not like you. And I think that's something we just have to acknowledge as human beings, that you can't fix that really. You just got to learn to live with it. And for someone to see that, where you see someone like Michelle, because she is regularly has to deal with the community directly, and she would obviously like come into contact with people like that who don't really seem to like her for no other reasons besides a very specific, unique one in their head. Yet she does an incredible job at just not taking it to heart, and still just going, what, although I can't help that person or this person isn't open or available to be helped, there's still other people that I can, and I'll do that. And so I think we should try and be a little bit like Michelle Rowland, learn to take the criticism, take the good times, with the good people, because that was the thing. The number of people that came up to me, in that same day where that guy came up and complained, there was another lady who said that she was an amputee, like she'd lost a leg, and in Australia we have a national disability insurance scheme which helps people who are in those situations get treatment they need, and so the NDIS scheme gave her a leg, but it didn't give her a foot to attach to the leg. So as you can imagine, that's kind of a problem. And the lady got into contact with Michelle Rowland, and Michelle helped through the NDIS and got into contact with them and got this community member a foot for her amputated leg. And it's just like it was just so jarring, because in these two respects, you have one lady who's like an amputee. Michelle's managed to get her a foot for her leg, and it's just that's a huge thing for her. She can now actually properly walk. Meanwhile, this guy doesn't have 2 emails answered, and he's like, I don't want to borrow you. And yeah, it's interesting, but try and be like Michelle Rowland, and take the good times, but also don't sweat the bad times and bad people's energies. So yeah, I think I'll leave it there for now, and I'll see you tomorrow.